Good morning, everyone. Surprised, we're here on Tuesday. We have a special Tuesday edition because my guest was not available on Wednesdays, and I've really been wanting to get him on here. So we are going to be doing that today, and then tomorrow will be a replay of the same show. So I apologize for any confusion, but here we are. A couple of housekeeping things. Next week, there will not be a show for me in the morning. So next Wednesday, May 6th, no show. My producer was not going to be available, and so we're just going to let her do what she needs to do. Let's see what else. Next weekend, not this coming weekend, not May 2nd and 3rd, but May 8th and 9th. Remember CapCon in Fond du Lac. The Bigfoot Walk is Friday night. And it is my understanding that we are meeting in the parking lot of the hotel in Fond du Lac I think it's at 7:30 on Friday evening. So then we will be going on our Bigfoot hike from there. So that's the catch up for right now. I know I've got some other events coming up. I'm in Rhinelander the following weekend, May 16th. And we got some stuff also coming up in June. I will be at the Bearded Brother Brawl at Broadhead Manor on June 6th and the Chicago Paracon on June 13th. So that's what I've got coming up. And let's see what else. If you guys mention in the comments that you would still like to have a show, we can play a show that's already been played before, a replay, a rerun, I guess, like we used to call them. But you know what? Put it in the comments. And if you want to have a rerun, we can do that. Otherwise, there won't be a show next week. So without further ado, let's bring out my amazing guest, Mr. Jeremy Cotter.
Good morning, Kristina. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you? It says right there, you are the host of Twisted Tales podcast, which is a really fun podcast. You guys really cut loose on that one. I
know. I thank you. Yeah, it is a lot of fun. I cover like the paranormal and the horror and the pop culture and a little bit of this and a little bit of everything. And
yeah,
you and I are both part of the Wicked Wednesdays family as well. I like to call it a family within a family.
Yes,
we're all part of the All Access Network family, and then yourself and Nathaniel Ewell and myself are all part of the Wicked Wednesdays lineup. So which has been taking off tremendously. From what I've been hearing a lot of buzz, and it's been a lot of fun.
It really is.
I enjoy this whole thing.
I think the three of us need to get together and do a show sometime. What do you think?
Actually, funny enough, you say that. I have you coming on my podcast in July.
Yes.
And Nate is actually going to be the co-host, and we're going to do a whole show within a show where we talk about Wicked Wednesdays and everything we got all going on, and to highlight yourself as well. But I brought Nate in because I figured it'd be a great time for the three of us to be able to talk together on a show, and everybody could hear it live as it goes. So
I love it. I know I've been on Nate's show, and he is high energy.
It really is, and I tell you, at times I can match it, maybe even beat it at times. And it's hard to keep energy that high at 9:30 at night sometimes.
It is. I'll bet it is. Yeah, no kidding. So today we're kind of steering away from the paranormal and the horror and the pop culture, and we're going to be talking about spirituality and metaphysics. And I know that you had expressed concern about not knowing enough about the scientific part of metaphysics. I'm not worried about it because I focus on the spiritual anyway, right? So
absolutely.
I just want to share with people, what was it, like a week and a half ago, we had breakfast together with your beautiful wife, Jean, and Raven, and my friend Valerie and I, and we were all in Salem, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
On the same day, which like, how did that even happen?
It's kind of weird because my wife and I, we were originally supposed to go up and meet up with some of our friends who unfortunately couldn't make it for whatever reason. They had a personal reason why they couldn't make it. But then I had seen that you were traveling cross country and you were going to all these amazing places, and you were meeting up with Raven. And I'm like, when I talked to Raven, I go, we should all meet up together. And they were like, yeah, it's a great idea. So we all get together at, I think it was Red's.
was. Yeah.
What an amazing, they had amazing food at Reds. I'll tell you, it was great. It was
Good.
an
It was a
awesome
lot
time,
of food.
you know.
Yeah.
Not even the fact that it had rained most of the day could ruin the opportunity that we all had to get together and just sit there and talk and break bread. It was a great time, you know.
It really, really was. And I know we started a bunch of conversations because watching that conversation, like I know my friend and your wife are both sitting there and they're just watching the conversation like they were watching a ping pong match. Like
Well,
all over the place.
I can tell you because my when I started going, I can talk about multiple different things to multiple different people at the same time, and I don't break stride in conversation on either one. And sometimes
Right.
my wife is like, "How do you do this?" I'm like, "It's whatever the squirrel upstairs tells me it has to do." It's like, 'cause we were talking about the network, and we were talking about how great things were going, and
Yeah.
what direction we can move things forward. And then Raven and I were talking about Funko Pops and collectibles on the other side of it. And then Gene and your friend were sitting there and they were having a conversation because they had a lot in common going on too. So it was just a great time, a lot of great
It
energy.
was. A
And
lot of
someone's
great energy, yeah. I'm pretty sure we could have lifted that building right off the foundation with the energy we had going on there.
just between you and I and Raven alone, the energy probably could have pulled the foundation off the building, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
I
So,
love
and we had talked about this episode and what
oh,
we wanted to talk about a little bit, in between all the other squirrels flying around the table.
of
And
course.
so I know that you're a spiritual person. I know that but little bit I could grasp in between the conversations. So because
Yeah.
you talk faster than I think. So that was
I'm
that was
sorry.
interesting. No, it's okay.
It's force of habit,
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
with my background, just in case anybody doesn't know, I was a professional wrestler before I got involved in the paranormal, and then I was in the paranormal for many years before I got involved in the podcasting, and just trying to translate all three of them and weave them all together. Believe it or not, there's a lot of similarities in all three. And
Okay, let's
you
talk
know,
about that. Yeah, what are the similarities in all three?
um, we're all searching for something, and like with wrestling, you're searching for a character, you're searching for you being able to connect with people. Just like with paranormal, we look to connect with people as far as both in the physical plane that we're on, and you and I both know as far as communicating with those who are on the other side of the veil. They're in different timelines, if you will. We can get into all of that kind of thing because I find that stuff utterly fascinating.
Me too.
But with wrestling, you need to connect with a live audience. You need to be able to, make them feel and make them want to watch you perform. And that's where you learn how to actually talk on a microphone, public speaking, so to speak, if you will.
Right.
Just like being involved with the paranormal, you also have the issue where if you get asked to do like a lecture or about your experiences, you need to be able to convey those messages clearly and in a way that people actually engage in listening. So you have to tone it properly, and you have to make sure that you're not, droned out or monotone, because you can lose a crowd in a lecture just as fast as you can engage with one. I'm sure you've
Right.
seen it before.
Oh, yeah.
So having that experience in public speaking with a large group of people and managing all the energies around you in a professional wrestling ring, because you have a live crowd in front of you, whether it's 50 people or 5,000 people, you still have live people that you are there to engage with. Whether you're a good guy, bad guy, doesn't make a difference. The whole storyline, with paranormal, everyone has a story as well. They're more in the truth because wrestling is more in the fictional, but it's a story that the spirits want to tell, and
Right.
and they use people like you and I to be able to purvey those stories, because we don't necessarily use all the high-tech equipment that a lot of the regular investigators do. We communicate one-on-one directly with the energies, with the spirits, with the people. I like to call them people because a lot of them still think that they are here on the side with us. They don't necessarily know.
Right.
That's part of my feelings towards the situation. And then if you want to curve it into the podcasting side, you have to be able to engage an audience. We have a live segment or in pre-record, whatever, once a week. And with that, it gives you an opportunity to bring on a guest, talk to them, engage with them, engage with the audience. Hopefully they ask questions. But if your product isn't interesting, you're gonna lose that audience, just like you can lose your audience with just about anything. And
Right.
if you don't talk to the energies in a way that they want to talk to you, or you don't engage them properly, you can lose your connectivity with those spirits as well. So as I'm saying, everything is kind of tied into one another in a way, in a
Right.
roundabout way. So that's
That
what I mean.
makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes sense. Yeah. I don't know anything about wrestling,
that's okay.
but it I know I used to watch it like way back when, probably high school,
Yeah,
So that
but
might have been pre your birth, but
I
it
don't
was
think
a
so.
long time ago.
We're not that far apart age wise, believe it or not. So, but the whole thing is you might not know much about it, but you've seen it.
I've seen it.
You've seen the larger than life characters. You've seen
Right.
the fans go crazy for them, or the fans boo them, or throws things at them. You've seen the interactions and the colorful spectacle that it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's all relative, realistically, between all three platforms. And I know
As
I just tied it all together, but it's my journey, and it's how I see things.
Right. Well, as a public speaker myself, I completely understand that. You have to be able to engage the audience, and I have
Oh,
seen some public speakers who do not engage the audience, and it's just like
yes,
you're just
to me,
nodding off.
I know we haven't quite touched on the topic yet, but the tonality of your voice and the way that you project what you need to say is so paramount when you're
It
on
is.
stage in front of a group of people.
Or
Whether you have a
sitting in
small
your
group of
home in
people in
front
the
of a
crowd
microphone. Yeah.
or a large group of people in a crowd, because what's the hardest part about a lecture, Christina? If somebody gets bored at a convention, they can stand up and walk out the
Walk
door.
out the
And
door. Yep.
when that stuff starts happening, you feel it inside of you. You're like, what
You
did I
sure
do?
do.
I mean, granted, they might just be going to use the bathroom. We don't know that, but if you lost them, or if you see them looking at their phone and not watching and not listening to what you have to say, that that can be a bit rough too, because
Yeah.
because you want to know, what did I do? Why did I not? How did I lose them? How did I not get the connectivity going? You know,
Right.
and like I said, connectivity is the most important thing with all three of the steps that I've taken so far.
Right.
And
Right. Exactly.
God only knows from there on forward. Oh, it's kind of funny. Real quick before we get any
Yeah.
further, when the intro was going on and while you were talking, my little kitten, well, I can't say my kitten because she's like 7 months now, decided to break into the room and jumped up on the computer and put her face right in the screen. I'm like, no,
Oh,
you're not part of the show today. I appreciate your effort, but no, I don't want to swing on the keyboard. Next thing I know, I'm like sitting at a blank screen because it just disengaged me from the whole thing. You know.
well, we do welcome animals on my show. So
Well, they're all here, all three. Well, not in this room right now. My oldest one is sleeping in her chair. She won't bother me, thankfully. But the youngest one, she is a rambunctious little girl.
I'm
Her name
sure
is Luna.
she's a baby.
Yeah, she's 8 months old,
Yeah.
almost. She's my wife's cat. She's a tuxedo with a
Oh,
half white, half
beautiful.
black nose. She is funny, but she is a lot of energy. So she's cool.
Gotta love the energy. Absolutely.
I'm a
Um,
cat guy. Yeah,
that's awesome. I'm an animal person. It doesn't matter what kind of animal. I'm an animal person.
that's cool.
So yeah. Um, it said on your little bio thing that
Yeah.
you are clairvoyant. Are you also clairaudient? Do you hear spirits?
So I can see them, I can hear them, I can smell. Like I get the phantom smells. Like if one of them
Okay.
is like smoking a cigar, or the perfume comes through the room, or something, like scent wise. I,
Okay.
I have a hard time remembering all the individual names, but yeah, on the audio and the visual are like spot on.
Excellent.
It's amazing. When I first got involved in the paranormal, I was just doing investigations just like everybody else.
Hmm.
And my very first one I ever went on, I saw a shadow figure pop out of a wall. And next thing you know, it was like every time I would go on an investigation, they'd become clearer. And then I would start hearing voices, like talking. And
Okay.
I hear a lot of phantom conversations because I work in a hospital in nutritional services, and when I'm in certain areas that I know have had a lot of people who have passed or whatnot, like there's a transitional care unit that's been shut down for several years, but I still have to go in and check the refrigerators because they use it occasionally for overflow for
Okay.
the sick wings.
Hmm.
You can hear conversations going on in rooms that there's nobody else on that floor except for me, and I know that it's the spirits talking. And I know we're not diving on the paranormal part of it, but it actually has a lot to do with the clairvoyance, because being able to actually see them walking around in the hospital, as well as like hearing the conversation. Or somebody will, like, I'll hear somebody talk to me, and I always make sure that I engage the conversation, because I don't want to ignore it,
Hmm.
because they might may actually like be interested in talking, and if they know that they can actually talk to somebody, it might make them feel a little bit easier, a little more at ease, if that makes sense.
That makes sense. Do you do it might be dependent on where you are in the hospital, but do you speak to them out loud, or is it a mental conversation?
Um, I'm learning how to do more mental conversation. I mean, that's a different aspect of. Usually, I'll talk out loud, or
Okay.
not like loud, but I'll speak like normally, like I'm talking to you, just
Mhm.
because it makes them, because obviously some of these spirits don't know that they're not there physically, and why not speak aloud so they can actually hear that somebody's actually talking to them. I've actually gotten some very intelligent responses from the
Okay.
spirits at the hospital. It depends on where I am. I've seen, so I've talked to some spirits in the emergency department, but primarily the Naka cancer unit and the transitional care unit are the ones that have a lot of the most of the major activity that I've experienced. In
Okay.
critical care, I've witnessed some amazing things in critical care, which changed my whole perspective
Yeah.
on a lot of things. You know,
Yeah. Critical care is an interesting part of the hospital. I know anytime I have to go to a hospital, I see a lot more people than most people do. you know, because I'm seeing them on both sides of the veil, and whether I'm there as a patient or I'm there visiting or whatever, it's always there. It's
always,
always there. And the longer I've been doing this, the more
yeah,
solid I see them. So the more difficult it is sometimes to determine who's in spirit and who's in a body, because they're looking more and more alike to me as time is going on.
that makes a lot of sense to me. I definitely agree
Yeah.
with you wholeheartedly. As far as the more you engage, the clearer they become, and that's
Yes.
exactly what happened. At first, they would be like shapeless. Well, no, I shouldn't say shapeless masses, but they would be masses, but they'd be hidden by shadow. And then when I started acknowledging them more is when I would get more definition. Like you could see a hat clearly, you could see like the eyes structure clearly, you could see clothing, and then after a while, you could actually start seeing the faces more clearly. And they
Right.
would actually be more comfortable, and they would come in closer so you could actually see them. And then
Hmm.
when you would describe them to people, they would get overwhelmed with emotion, because it's like, oh, that's my uncle, or that's my mother, or that's and you feel good because you were able to make a connection for somebody,
Yeah.
and to me, there's nothing makes you feel better than being able to help someone, and if it means being able to connect them to a person that they haven't talked to in a long time, or getting a message to somebody because it needed to be said, for whatever reason,
Right.
that brings a lot of, it makes me feel very good about that.
Have you ever had spirits come to you? I mean, I know you're at work, right? You're at a
Right.
hospital, you're at work. Have you ever had them ask you to help them move on?
I have once or twice. I don't necessarily do that. I will find someone who can help me with that occasionally. I would definitely find somebody help with that, because I don't want to mislead the spirit either. If I can't handle somebody like move forward, as far as like transition up to the light, then I know a few people who can help me with that, and I would definitely try to get them in contact with that spirit somehow, because I've been able to do that before, been able to link other sensitives or people who
Hmm.
have that experience with the actual spirit that I've been talking to. That has happened once or twice, so that's definitely an interesting side effect of being able to connect with the other with the other side. You know.
It certainly is. Yeah. One of the things that I do when someone on the other side asks for help,
Mhm.
I ask them who they want to come and get them.
Oh wow, I
S-
never even thought about
Yeah.
that part of it. It's
So, yeah, I mean, sometimes they're asking for their grandmother or their father or Jesus or whatever. And I mean,
right.
I'm not a religious person at all,
Mhm.
but I've never had Jesus say no.
Okay. Well, I don't think that Jesus would ever say no
No,
to bringing home another member of his congregation, or
whatever. Yeah. However that works on the other side. But yeah, just, for future reference, stick that in your back pocket.
yeah. No, that's actually pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not overly like religious as far as any one particular one. I do
Mhm.
respect everybody's religion and what and how they go about doing their their thing, but it's definitely not my avenue. I take a little
Right.
bit from here and a little bit from there, and I try to formulate my own interpretation. I do believe in a higher spirit. I can't follow a particular religion because I don't have that mentality, so to
Yeah. I
speak.
don't either. Yeah.
No,
I
I'm
do
a,
the same thing.
I'm a think around the box, in the box, and I'm not like, okay, follow A, B, C, and D, and then you'll get to heaven or Valhalla or whatever designation that you're gonna get to. I figure we all are destined for a different journey once this one's over. I'm
Hmm.
interested to see someday, not right now, because obviously there's a lot more of this particular life that I want to, experience. But someday when it's time to leave this physical body, I do want to. I'm interested to see what's next, because I've been doing a lot of research on, and been watching a lot of things on people who talk about what the next step is after this, and it's very interesting. There's a lot of different point of views.
There sure are. There certainly are. I want to say good morning to Lorena. Thank you for being with us, Lorena. Um, eh, oh, I just had a question and it just went poof.
It's
It
okay.
happens sometimes. It
Oh,
happens sometimes. Um,
absolutely.
so when you are on an investigation
Mhm.
and you don't typically use much are there any of the equipment that you use other than your own intuition?
Yes, I actually my tools are my dowsing rods, because they I have a direct connectivity to them,
Mhm.
and the spirit can use my energy to show me where things are in a room, or answer questions yes or no, or even other style things like trying to find particular items, and count like tapping out certain letters of the alphabet, as you know. I use pendulums. I do have like a K2 meter, or I have an EMF thing, but I haven't even learned how to use that thing, so it kind of scares me a little bit. uh, but I've just noticed once in a while, like a spirit board. If
Mhm.
there's one around,
Okay.
I might dive into that. Weird things happen when I do use a spirit board, because when my energy goes into a spirit board, it
It
starts
starts
to
to
it starts to do like weird things with the planchettes and whatnot, and you know, my wife won't let me use it unless she's under supervision. I'm under supervision, because you never know, because I have a lot of high energy, and like putting it into equipment like that, it brings a bunch of spirits into the room. I've had some interesting
yeah.
experiences with that too, but I mean, the REM pods and all the stuff with the lights are interestingly cool, but it's I feel like my natural connectivity with spirit is my most validating.
I agree. I
You
agree.
know,
I find the more flashing lights are around, the less I tune into my intuition.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
distracting. It's
It's
very distracting.
distracting. Yeah, it's really distracting.
You know, all
Um,
the yeah,
yeah.
that equipment is sometimes with all the flashing lights and the echoes from the boxes trying to bring the voices through. And I don't. It's hard for me to validate a lot of those because if you can hear them clearly, like we can, then trying to think that something playing channels back and forth on a radio, it's hard for me to determine what's actually a spirit speaking or what's just a DJ saying something on a radio station at the same time. If
Right.
that makes any sense. It's, you know,
Yeah.
I found like those ghost box things to be really irritating to my ears, like right off the bat when I first started investigating, and I'm not too comfortable around them because they make me feel kind of uneasy.
Yeah,
So
and I have one, and I agree with you.
yeah, I mean, I know they make like
Yeah.
portal boxes now, which eliminate all that stuff, and
Mhm.
you can just hear voices come through. And I have heard some interesting stuff coming through, you know, and by using my spirituality or my you know my clairvoyancy, it's actually matched up with what comes through on like the readers and stuff. So there was a little bit of there is validation on that side as well, which is it's just cool too.
Yeah, yeah, it is cool. The thing that always cracks me up is that people want scientific proof, but do they really understand what the scientific process is?
I don't think so.
You know, I don't think they do either because, you know, it's like, I mean, it's been a while since I've studied science, but it seems to me that you have to be able to duplicate results.
Right.
So, um,
Yes, Gwen.
yeah,
The white
yes.
noise after about I would say like a minute or two, the white noise starts to make me feel like I get like a headache on the side of my head, and I have to actually leave a room when it's going on. You know,
Yeah,
it's
it does for me too. Doing the Estes method, which I've only done a couple of times, um, it can be really overwhelming. Like I do get nauseous. I get kind of lightheaded. I feel like I'm listening so hard that maybe I'm missing something. You know, it can really mess with me. So I'm not a big fan of the Estes method, but I do know that people who work with it well do get good results.
yeah. Yesterday's method. I've done it twice. The first time it was interesting because I'd never done it before, and when you put the noise canceling phones on, I automatically started having like people talking to me directly, like
Mhm.
"hello" and stuff like that. The second time scared the heck out of me. It really,
Oh,
really did. I forget where we were. I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And I put on the blindfold. I put on the headphones. Within 30 seconds, someone ran up into my face. Like I could see them with my eyes closed. I could see the person's face and screamed at me. And I was like, "Okay, I'm done." Took the headphones off. Took the blindfold off. I'm like, "Yeah, somebody else can do this. I'm good." And
that
somebody's
would
like,
do it
"Oh,
for
no."
me. Yeah.
I was like, this woman ran right up to me, looked me right in the face, and screamed at me. And I was like, "Okay, that's enough. Here you go. Somebody else can do it now."
What did she scream? Was it words or was it just a scream?
Honestly, I didn't stick around long enough to try to determine it because it was like loud. Like it was like one of those. It was almost like a scream from like a movie, so to speak.
Okay.
You know, like one of those. Oh my god, I'm about to get taken out kind of a scream. But it was just so crazy. I just heard the and I saw this face come flying in, and just the scream was way too much. You know.
So Gwen says, interestingly enough, I
Mm.
love the Estes method and I do well with it. I just have to accept that it's going to make me dizzy and nauseous.
No, you know what? I agree with you.
Yeah,
It's an amazing method.
it
It's just
is. Yeah.
for me, ever since I had that one interaction when that spirit ran up right into my face and yelled at me, that was enough. And I just took everything off and gingerly handed it to the person next to me and go, "Okay, it's your turn." And I haven't gone back to it since. Yeah, I've been
I
in a
can
room.
understand why.
Yeah, I've been in a room where people have done this method, and I've seen spirit like show up behind them and like lean over
Mhm.
them, and I had that happen to me, and I was like, "Watch out!" And the thing ran across, like, shot across the table and went inside of me, and decided to. I ended up channeling it not by choice. Really, and that was an interesting method. I mean, I'm very fortunate to have had the opportunity to be able to channel spirits as well. I mean,
Mhm.
that was a whole different part of the spiritual journal, being able to share space in my body with another being, and I've had that happen a few times, and it's weird. The dream state you get put into when a spirit is using you as a conduit
Mhm.
is very, very. Um, I think I was in awe the first time it happened, and
Yeah.
it's I don't even know. I don't even know what to say about the channeling. It was it's nice to be able to let somebody use your body to speak,
Mhm.
but you also need to try to keep control on the same side. And I wasn't doing a good job keeping control on the other side. I was trying to find my way back to my body, if it makes any sense, and
I've been
I don't know.
channeling, yeah, I've been channeling for 19 years.
Okay.
And I've channeled probably, I don't know, maybe 1,000 times at this point.
Oh, well, you got a
And
lot more money in your belt than I do. Yeah. I didn't even
um,
know I could do it. It just
yeah,
happened randomly on an investigation, and the spirit decided it wanted to use me as a conduit, and started talking to my wife. And she thought my wife was a lost love of hers from back in the 1800s. So it was a very interesting conversation, I guess, on that side. And I've never heard the
sure.
conversation because she never played it for me.
Yeah, so that was going to be my next question is
Yeah.
when you have channeled, do you remember it afterwards?
No, I get glimpses
Okay.
occasionally of things that have happened. The first one I have not, because I don't remember it. All I remember is like walking down a hallway and trying doors, kind of like a long corridor hallway that has doors on both sides. And when I finally found one, I opened the door, went through, and that's when I came back into my body. And I guess at least 15, 20 minutes had gone by or something along
Okay.
those lines. And my wife Jean was like, "You know what happened?" I go, "I have no idea, honestly." So she told me all about it, and it's the second time I do remember like glimpses, because I was on a ship. I was doing an
Okay.
investigation on a ship for some friends of mine that asked me to come down and use me as a conduit. Hey, how's it
Hey, Shep.
going? And that one, the spirit was very, very strong. It was almost felt like it was elemental in nature, because it was a next level spirit. So, and my hands were like stuck to a table while I was speaking.
Okay.
I could see through my eyes and I could hear, but I couldn't control the words that were coming out. If that makes any sense.
And that makes all the sense in the world to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I
then
totally get it.
a friend of mine who was sitting next to me in the chair, who was almost my size. I'm a big size guy. The energy coming out of me almost knocked him clear out of the chair, and he was over 300 pounds himself, and he was almost knocked him completely out of the chair that he was sitting in next to me. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I can
and
vouch for the fact that you're a big guy. I've met you.
yep, you definitely can. No, I'm not hiding it. I mean, it helped with former careers and whatnot, but
Yeah.
no.
Yeah,
Oh,
the energy coming through can be incredibly powerful,
oh, I
and
agree with you.
it can be any kinds of things. I know I'm very careful about who I let in. I mean, I have my guides as a gatekeeper, and if they're not comfortable, I'm not comfortable. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. A while ago, I decided to stop turning off my communication beacon, and I'm on all the time. Maybe it's
Wow.
not a good idea, because I mean, I try to stay grounded as much as I can, and I know it's very important in spirituality to stay grounded and stay focused.
Mhm.
But I mean, I'm focused and I got my head in the clouds all at the same time. So it's definitely a conflicting energy at times. And sometimes I forget, hey man, you're turned on all the time. your chakras wide open, and you're open to receiving message all the time, because I don't want to miss out on if somebody has something to say. You know,
When did you discover that you had the ability to talk with spirits?
okay, so that was probably it was a long time ago. We were on an investigation, and I heard a woman talking to me, and I go, "Are you talking to me?" And she was like, "Yes." I'm like, "Okay." And I go, "Can you see me?" She's like, "Yes." I go, and I asked, what color shirt am I wearing? And she said green. And I was wearing like I forget what shirt it was, but it was like a green, like tree of life type of shirt that I had on it. Like, I like
Okay.
all these crazy shirts. And, I'm like, okay, that just happened. And I'm like, and then it sparked from there. And every time I would go to a place, as soon as the spirits realized I was able to talk to them, they'd come running up, hi, hi, and like I get like kids would pull on my shirt, or people, and being a big guy, I get a lot of interaction with children and women spirits, and like the alpha males in the house will sometimes try to like come at me, or try to
Okay.
they try to show that they're the dominant spirit. Obviously, it happens, unfortunately, because a lot of the spirits we encounter are from timelines before ours. I mean, sometimes
Right.
you encounter some that are linear, because they may have passed away, during our time on this earth. But a lot of them that you actually interact with are from like 1700s, 1800s, even like early 1900s, and the family dynamic was completely different back then. How people acted was completely different back then than it is now.
Right.
And you know, it's not for anything, but I mean, males acted completely differently back then than they do now. And you get a lot of that strong male energy from a lot of the older houses if they're there, and it's it can be a bit daunting, because I'm not there to challenge spirits. I try to just communicate with them. I want them to tell me their stories, and that's
Right.
to me that's the most important thing. You know,
That makes
as
sense. That makes sense. Um, what is the most profound experience for you that you've had with spirit? Or
I
just
would
pick one?
just to pick. I mean, to pick the
Just
first
pick
one off the
one.
top is probably the channeling. It was probably the
Okay.
most interesting one, because I had never thought I would experience that. You know, um, I've had interactions with spirits at different locations that were so strong that I would never allow them to channel me in the first place, because I don't know what would come out one way or the other.
Mhm.
Um, Interacting with an elemental was definitely interesting. Um,
Okay.
I've had that happen a couple of times, like different ones, and the energy that comes, like like interacting with a regular humanized spirit is a very amazing experience. But then
Yes,
when you interact with a higher level spirit, that's a completely different energy.
it is. I agree.
It's a completely different experience. And getting a
Yeah.
chance to do that is amazing. You know, it's kind of like I haven't gotten to the level where you speak to like directly to angelic spirits. I mean, I know that that's even a little higher than the earthbound ones for sure.
Mhm.
And I'm sure if that ever happens, that would be an amazing experience to me. That's why I'm always open, because I want to experience the next part, if that makes sense. I want to
That makes
experience,
sense.
I want to experience everything that we have a chance to do in this realm of existence.
Mhm.
And the more I can learn, the better off I'll be all the way around. And I think that's the biggest takeaway that I have from doing all the spiritual work and learning and meditation, and like I've been experiencing dream travel lately, which has definitely
Okay.
been an interesting thing. I don't quite understand all of that one. That one throws me for a loop. I mean, I've done the astral projection where I've actually, hovered above my body and actually seen myself sleeping, and I've actually gone off on a path, and then later on been driving and be like, wait a minute, I've been here before, but not physically. I've traveled there in a different state of being.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, it's sometimes it's hard to wrap around all of the things you go through and then trying to sort it out, you know, and then still trying to stay grounded and still trying to be like, okay, you have to continue on this path because this is where you are now. Eventually you'll be on that next level. You'll be able to, your energy will take you to whatever the next reality is, whatever the next goals are. And,
Right.
you know, but right now you're still here. You've got plenty more years left in the tank, hopefully. And who knows where it'll take you, you know, if that makes any sense. I'm sorry if I'm babbling on, but it definitely, you know, if that makes any sense.
That makes a lot of sense, and you're not
Yeah.
babbling on. I asked you the questions.
No, that's okay because sometimes I just keep talking, and you know sometimes it leads into one thing, leads into another, and you know
That's the way it works, though, isn't it? Like
it really
that.
is.
Yeah, that's the way it works, and that's how we learn about each other and different experiences. And I just want to address, because at some point somebody's probably going to put into the comments somewhere that it's not safe to be open all the time. But I just want to say, whatever works for each individual works for each individual, and we don't really need to be judging that. So,
Well, you know what? I would almost agree with that to a degree. That it's probably not safe to be open all the time because you could be open to attacks from a spirit that may have. I never use the D words. That thing never will come into the conversation because it's overplayed and
way overplayed. I agree.
But as far as, are there entities that have negative energy? Of course there are. You know, just like people, not everybody is the nicest person in the world. Not every spirit is going to be the nicest person in the world, you know, and it doesn't automatically change the minute you cross from one existence to another. You know, you're not going to go from being a grumpy old guy or somebody who's just could be a bad person to, oh, I have an epiphany and we're all going to be all in the same place and everything is happy. No, it doesn't work like that in my opinion.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, if you're a jerk in life, you're probably gonna end up being a jerk on the other side. I mean, you don't automatically get that everybody turns into a being of pure light and happiness. It's hard for me to believe that part because I've encountered spirits of multiple different personalities, of multiple different ideals, and it just shows you that, you know, they are just as in tune on the other side as they are here, and they are the same person that they were. You know, and not everybody gets this aha moment. I call it an aha moment, but not everybody gets that opportunity to flex, you know. And I do agree with your initial statement that maybe turning it down a little bit, not necessarily shutting it completely off, but maybe dialing it down a little bit and doing a little bit more of a protective barrier might be a good idea in the long run. And as soon as I figure out how to do that, that'd be great. But sometimes my energy is so chaotic, and I'm always on the move and I'm always on the go, that mentally at least, that it's hard to find that moment. You know, once in a while when I get a chance to actually do my meditation and get my grounding going in, I can feel my energy toning down a little bit. But then unfortunately, because I deal with like hyper anxiety sometimes, kicks right back open and my floodgates open right back up again. I'm like, okay, we need to figure out a happy medium here. You know,
I have a book for you. So
I'm sure there must be one out there somewhere.
I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, though, as we are feeling this multidimensionality, because we are not just physical beings, we are multidimensional beings.
Yes.
Right? So we are spirit beings, we are physical beings, we are mental beings. These are all different levels, or I don't know if levels kind of creates a visual, but these are all different aspects of who we are, right? So I think it's perfectly natural to talk to people in other forms of energy. To me, it just seems like the most natural thing in the world.
I agree.
So I am constantly having conversations in my head with other people who are coming and going and talking to me. And I get that. And then sometimes it's like quiet. And when it's quiet, I don't really know what to do with that.
Yeah, lately silence is not golden. I can definitely say that. Silence doesn't feel golden sometimes. Silence can take you, because you start talking to yourself in your own head, you enter a different form of spirituality because you're answering
Right.
your own questions before you ask them. And that turns
Mhm.
into a paradox that I don't quite understand entirely yet either. I whenever I get to that point, I pick up the old handheld device here and I start scrolling through like TikTok or Reels, or I find things that are interesting. I start watching things that help distract me from.
Your sound is going out. I'm not understanding what you're saying. Your
Oh,
sound is
can you
going
hear
out.
me at all?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay,
I
I don't
but
know
I
why
missed
this.
the whole last thing you said, but yeah.
Okay, let me see. Let me dial it back here. So no, what I was saying is when I have those internal conversations, right?
Mhm.
And if I don't want to sit in the silence, I'll use I'll go through social media like reels on TikTok, or I'll go through like Facebook reels or whatever kind of Instagram thing to try to distract myself from trying to have those internal conversations, because then I have the third mind that comes in trying to decipher what's going on in that conversation. And then next thing you know, you get like tensed up, you get anxiety about things, and you start having all sorts of weird stuff going on. And I feel that triggers a lot of like depression or anxiety, or, self-doubt. When you have too much time on your hands to talk to
Mhm.
yourself, it's never really a good thing for the most part.
Right.
I feel like having a goal and being driven and moving in a certain direction helps you avoid what can happen, because I've suffered through anxiety and depression, and I deal with all those kind of things. I'm not proud to hide it. I'm not going to hide the fact that I dealt with a lot of those things because of family tragedies that I've had in the past
Mhm.
and whatnot. And trying to move forward to it. And going back to why I got involved in the whole podcasting thing in the first place, it makes it so I have drive, I have focus, and when I'm focused, I'm not listening to all the stuff that goes on in my own head, because I'm constantly asking myself questions. I'm constantly trying to work things through. I'm trying to figure out like the next level. Like, okay, what's going on? With all these different planes of existence, because I've had some interesting experiences lately that I can't quite understand. Um, I'll shed one on you, and maybe you can figure out.
Okay.
So, I was sitting in my living room watching television, and I had my, all of a sudden I look out in the kitchen, because it's like it's much adjoined, so you can see what's going on out in certain parts of the kitchen, and I see my cat walk by. My cat walked by the open um, area and head towards the food dish, and he was out there eating food, right? No
Mhm.
big deal. Problem was, he was sitting in my lap at the
Okay.
same at the exact same time that he was walking across the kitchen and going over and getting something to eat. He
Okay.
was in two different places at the same exact time. And that's
That's interesting because people try to do that. They try to bilocate like that, but your cat just does it naturally.
But I mean, he did. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was on purpose. I don't know if the matrix is broken, so to speak. But because I,
Oh,
'cause I
it's
looked out,
broken.
because I looked out there and he wasn't out there. But when he first walked by, and you could hear a couple of crunching, like the food being
Mhm.
eaten in the bowl, and I looked out and it wasn't there. And why wasn't he there? Because he's sitting in my lap at the time.
Right.
And
Well,
I'm like,
a couple different things popped into my head. So, one
okay,
of them is bilocation, like he was just able to bilocate. Like I said, some people learn to do that. I think
right,
some animals do it naturally. The other thing is a glitch in the matrix,
yes,
where timelines intersected for a brief moment and you
I
were
agree.
able to see it. Yeah.
Mm.
Those are the two things that popped into my head that would be happening with that. You just and sometimes the time glitches
Oh,
are Yeah, you've had that, right? Time
Yes.
glitches. Yeah. So you could have been, if you paid attention to, okay, in this moment he's in my lap, but did he go to his dish a few minutes ago, or did he go to his dish a few minutes after that? And did the time glitch happen where it just sort of melded and looked like it was happening at the same time?
Yeah, and the time, I mean, I didn't have that. The time glitch didn't happen with him. I had it happen at work, like an
Okay.
actual time glitch, just completely. My clock went backwards 15 minutes while I was on my phone. I watched the time go backwards 15 minutes, and then as soon as I realized that it happened, it shot back forward to the regular time again. And I'm like, why did it do that? That's weird, you know? And I had another instance where I saw somebody walk by me and walk into the elevator behind me as I was walking back down the hallway. I turned to look in the elevator and nobody was in there. It was just an open elevator, but I literally saw somebody walk into the elevator as I was going by. And I thought it was weird because I didn't see them come through a doorway or anything. They just were walking across, walked into the elevator. The elevator was open. I looked in the elevator and there was nobody in there at all. I'm like, okay, I know something is going on. I know something is really weird. I know people
Yeah.
probably think it's crazy at times because let's be honest, if you don't understand something, you can feel it's a little bit weird, you know?
Hmm. I think
And
that, well, especially in a hospital when you're dealing with so many different levels of reality at the same time,
right.
that could easily happen there. Yeah.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And like as far as like I'm so interested in the different timelines because I'm sure you've been in places where there are spirits in locations. Doesn't even have to be a haunted location, just in regular old places, and they don't see each other because they're in different timelines.
Hmm.
But you know how to communicate with them because you have the ability. But there could be a timeline from the early 1900s. There could be a timeline from the 1800s. There could be a timeline from 2 months ago because somebody passed away and they're hanging around because they, you know, you see all these timelines, you see all these people, but they don't see each other because they're on different wavelengths.
Right.
And
Right. Different
spiritual
frequencies. Yeah.
spiritual wavelengths is a whole different thing. And
Yes, it
I watch,
is.
you know, I've been watching this this thing on TikTok from this guy called Bashar. Have you seen Bashar
Oh, yeah.
and I'll be honest with you, the more and more I watch this guy, the more everything he's saying makes sense.
Yes.
At first, I'm like, what on earth is going on? And then the more you watch it, the more you listen to him breaking things down, and the more that I am so fascinated by the take on everything. And it's hard not to agree with the majority of what Bashar has been saying as far
Hmm.
as how he sees and interprets people's behaviors on this earth. And you know, it's like I said, just thinking about it just makes my mind blown. Just because I try to watch whenever something pops up and his concept on human behavior and you know what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing right now and what you're saying what you're supposed to be saying right now, and it makes you think more. It makes you more
Hmm.
conscientious about everything you're doing, every step you're taking, every interaction you do, every relationship that you have, good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
It's like spiritually, why are you trying to hold on to in your life anymore? Where there are other people who are trying to find their way into your life that might offer more of what you need at that time versus the people who you're trying to reach out to you haven't heard from in a long time that have moved on, and sometimes you have a hard time with that part of it.
Right.
And I'm trying to learn now. I'm like, okay, listen, they moved on. You can send a message and move forward from there, but there are people who are trying to move into your existence that may have information or may have conversations that you are interested in.
Yes.
If that makes sense. And
Hmm.
you know, I'm trying to lean more towards that now. Like I want to be in the now. And people who want to be part of my life or part of my existence or part of the spirituality and want to engage, that's who I want to be around now. I can't keep chasing those who have moved on to a different path. I can't do that's
Yeah.
what they've done, you know, and I can't let it bother me. I can't let it bog me down. I can't let it tarnish what new adventures I'm going to have spiritually, metaphysically, with the clairvoyance or investigations or new guests on the podcast, so to speak, or everything else. So I'm trying to like shift gears, so to speak, and I'm trying to be more in the now and be mindful of everything around me all at the same time. So
yeah, that's all part of the ascension and growth process.
Yeah.
Some people go away, new people come in. And sometimes those new people come in and stay for a while, sometimes for a long while. Sometimes they're there just for the exchange and then they move on again. And the thing is that we're also doing that with other people. We just don't see it from that angle.
Right.
So that is really a part of the spiritual growth process and part of the ascension process, is that as our energy raises, we connect with people who are, around the same frequency, where other people at different frequencies go their own path. We go our own path. I think the hard part is that as humans, we don't let go very easily.
No. Of anything, whether it's an argument,
yes.
whether it's an argument, or whether it's a dispute over something, some material item, or whether it's a difference of opinion or something. Letting things go is something that a lot of people just cannot do, and they have a hard time doing it.
Yeah.
I'm learning more to just do that. And I feel a lot less heavy-hearted by being able to do that. It's like, if somebody did me wrong, I'll let them know it. I'll address it, but I'll let it go after the conversation's done. I'm not going to hold on to it and try to use it for an argument later on, because something, life's too short. We're only given a short amount of time on this physical plane. I mean, obviously, life seems to be infinite through all the multiple planes that we'll probably see after this particular part. But I want to enjoy as much as I can now on this plane, because it can be taken from us in an instant. And why not enjoy as much as we can now? Why not enjoy as many people in our lives as we can now? Those who want to be part of it can be part of it, and those who don't, there's plenty more chapters in their life, and it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And there doesn't even have to be like disagreement. Sometimes people just grow apart,
Oh, yeah, that happens all the time too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
is interesting.
Yeah, it's the ones that hold on to just the smallest things, and you can like years later have a conversation and something could go wrong, and then all of a sudden it gets brought back up into it. And it's like, that was then. This is now. Concentrate on now. Don't worry about what happened back then, because you can't go back then and fix it. You can't.
Right. Exactly.
If everybody could time travel backwards, we'd all be millionaires nowadays, and nobody would be worried about money at all.
Right.
you could pick a time and go backwards. And be like, you know what? I'm going to buy into Apple stock when it first happened, or I'm going to get in on inventing Bitcoin, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to buy stocks at a penny a piece that turn into being thousands of dollars later on, and I can be a billionaire. That's time travel can but we can't do that.
No.
Sometimes
you can learn.
Yeah, sometimes you can experience it in glimpses through travel, like dream travel, or through meditation. You can travel as well, but you can never change. You can never change anything. You can go back and witness things. You can go back and see glimpses of times in the past. But you can't physically change anything.
Right.
So
exactly.
So why hold on to it? There's no need to hold on to it.
Exactly. Speaking of time travel.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Seeing that I go deep into the philosophical side of things.
I love it. All of it. I am actually teaching a group past life regression tonight on Tuesday. Awesome. So if you see this on Tuesday, you can still get in on it. Just go to my Facebook page. If you're seeing it on Wednesday, sorry, you missed it. But we're doing a group past life regression where we're all going to see everybody who shows up. We're going to find where we've all met each other before.
That's cool. That's very cool.
So that'll be fun. But you brought up time travel, and I'm like, oh, thanks for the caveat.
Yes, I know. Huh? That's really cool. I've never dove into the past life regression, because I don't know what it's going to unearth, and or if it will unearth anything at all. I mean, some people are new souls, and this is their first dive in. Oh
yeah. What time
what
tonight?
time
Good
tonight?
question. Yeah, it's 7:30 Central, so 8:30 Eastern.
Yeah.
6:30 Mountain, 5:30 Pacific. So, and if you're outside the United States, you're on your own figuring out time.
Exactly. I have a hard enough time figuring out what things happen on the Eastern Coast, for God's sake, or anything else, Oh my
So
God.
it should be a fun class, but the event is in Facebook with all the signups and everything. So it's on the Kristina L. Bloom page. So yeah, it'll
That's
be
awesome.
fun. Yeah,
I
it'll be
hope, I hope
fun.
that I hope that event goes well for you, because I mean, it's a
Yeah,
very interesting topic, because you never know what's going to come up when
right,
you're trying to go backwards, and you're trying to deep dive
right.
into your own personal experiences.
Well,
Oh,
and this is set up to be a fun class because
right.
it's really all about, hey, where have we met before? Where do I know you from? Why do you look so familiar to me? Why do you feel so familiar to me? So it's that kind of a thing where it's, have we traveled together before? And if so, when and where?
Have
S-
our souls connected, and who knows if it's on this plane or a different plane, and
Yeah,
you might know somebody from a different plane, and then when you come to this physical one, you went on your
yeah.
separate ways, and it's kind of weird how things come back around.
And
You
I've
know,
had that happen. But as far as not knowing what's going to happen, we don't know what's going to happen in our own lives later today. So
that is true. Live the moment. That's what I'm gonna say.
live the
Live the
moment.
moment.
Yes, yes, live the moment. And I want to thank everyone for sharing these moments with us because this has been a great conversation and you have been an amazing guest. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on
Well,
to my show and be a
thank
guest.
you. Thank you for the
And
opportunity to come on here and hang out with you today. I'm very proud to have you as part of the Twisted Tales and the whole Wicked Wednesdays family. We've been
thank
working
you.
on getting that. I always bring it back to that because it's important to let everybody know that part of the All Access Network, we have a great thing going where, between yourself and Paranormal Unveiled with Nate, and then Twisted Tales with myself on Wednesdays, it has is a very intriguing and very varying lineup for people who might be interested in multiple different things to come on and watch during the course of the day. So,
Right, right. So, again, thank you so much. And next week, depending on the feedback that we get, will either not be a show for my show, or there will be a replayed show. So, thank you everyone for tuning in, for listening, and for sharing your feedback. And we'll see you again soon.
sounds good. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.